Okay, welcome everyone. Let me just do one other thing here. Welcome everyone. Velan Hawkins here. I am the host of the Health, Wisdom, and Wealth Show, Powerful Conversations for Living Your Best Life. And I am so excited that you're here with us today. We have got a powerful show in store for you, and kick back, pull up a chair to the table, get your pen and paper ready because you might want to take some notes here. Okay, today I have got the amazing Susan Cruz with me. And Susan is a CBD entrepreneur and educator, a holistic wellness advocate, motivational speaker, wellness coach, a North Carolina beekeeper, and a yoga teacher, RYT 200 yoga teacher. She's president and CEO of the Huntsboro Hemp Company, a rapidly growing company serving the CBD market. Now, you have to know that while she is all of this and then some, she is on a mission to educate people about the industrial hemp plant and the benefits of quality CBD products to improve lives. I think that we all have been asking the question, what is it? Why does it work so well? And for those of us who are really using food and plants as medicine, we have to know that there is a history, that there are some myths and some truths and some untruths that we're going to uncover today. You will see her full bio in the information below this video. And I have to just say, welcome, as Susan comes to share her passion for helping us learn about the natural hemp plant, its benefits, its cautions, and in other words, the truth about CBD so we can make more informed decisions to gain and maintain our best health. We're going to be talking about understanding hemp, CBD, and how to advocate for our personal health and well-being. Welcome, Susan.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today, Velan.
You are so welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
I am excited about being in this conversation for one big reason, and that is to uncover, unlock, unblock the biases that many of us have gained, but it's been in miseducation. And we're going to set the record straight today. I'm really excited about that because I don't often get the chance to be in the kind of conversation like what we're going to have.
Yeah, Velan, you've heard my story. When I first heard about CBD, I thought it was snake oil, right? I've helped hundreds of women lose thousands of pounds with a predominantly plant-based diet. I believe, like you, let your food be your medicine, in holistic health, right? And then when we first heard CBD this, CBD that, it'll cure this, it'll cure that. And it was all the buzz, right? Pun intended. But it was all the buzz, right? And, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I believe in plant power, but it's curing all these things. I wasn't sure. So I had to set out on a journey of educating myself. Yeah.
Wow. And let's talk about that. I mean,
Sure.
how did you really get started? I mean, you own a farm, you're raising your own crops, you're producing these products, you're educating the marketplace. How did you get on this journey and doing this work?
That is such a great question. And so in the background here, see, I did it again, Velan. In the background here, I'll slide that way. That's a picture of one of the fields on our home place. So my husband has been a farmer for his whole life. That's all he's done. He's a third generation farmer in our home, what we call our home place. And so with the reemergence of the hemp plant, he and his brother, who are partners, started talking about growing hemp when the 2018 farm Farm Bill came to pass, right? And North Carolina was starting their hemp program. Well, the first year that hemp was allowed to be grown, that a farmer could get a license in North Carolina, my husband and his brother chose to sit out just to see how it was going to grow. Were we really in an area that the plant would do well? And was this a new crop that they wanted to take on? So with Huntsboro Hemp, they were doing their research and they were trying to decide exactly what they were going to do, right? So the second year that it was allowed, they chose to grow industrial hemp. And one of the reasons that they chose to grow was I was already working on Huntsboro Hemp Company, and I had products in research and development. And we were getting our hemp from a farm in Colorado that my son-in-law had been out there and had visited. We knew how they grew their hemp, that it was organically grown, all the goods, right? So they're like, I'm like, but you guys can grow it for me. So the beautiful thing about Huntsboro Hemp is I am as close to being what you would call a vertical company without actually being the vertical company. My husband and his brother are the farmers. They've farmed their whole life. They know the whole deal about farming, but I get the benefit of seeing the plant from the time it goes into the ground until the time we send our products out to you. So I see the soil test. I see all the plant testing while it's in the field. I can go and pick my own flowers, and say, hey, I'm going to have a test run to compare against your test, to see if we've got exactly what we're saying. So that's the farming side of it. And then I buy it from my husband and his brother, and I have it processed right here. Everything happens within a 5-mile area of the farm and the facility. I'm actually in my office in our facility where we have the products manufactured. So I oversee all the time. I get to see shipping, everything. So that's the farming side of it and kind of how that got started, right? And then my side of it is as I told you, I was hearing about CBD and I thought it was snake oil, right? Because people were making all these claims that it will cure something. Well, the truth of it is CBD will cure nothing. It will cure nothing. But what it does do is it gets in your body. It can help bring your body back to a balanced state, back to homeostasis, right? And that is the key. That is what I had to learn. Because as you and I know, and I'm sure many of your listeners know, viewers know, that when our body is in a balanced state, when we're at homeostasis, we're a beautiful, well-oiled, well-run machine, because the body is amazing. But keeping it there, staying there is so hard. So I started studying under 3 doctors. One of them is Dr. Raphael Mishalem, and he is in Israel. He is considered the grandfather of cannabis or CBD. The other 2 doctors are here in the States. I started studying under Dustin Sulak, and I've got a certification under him. And then I also studied with Bonnie Goldstein, who is in California. And these doctors use CBD in their practices. Basically, that's what they do. Of course, both of them are in states where they can use cannabis as well. In North Carolina, we can't use cannabis, and that's another conversation for a whole another day, right? We're talking about CBD that is either at or under the legal limit of 0.03% THC or completely THC free. So when you learn that we have the endocannabinoid system, and this is a system in our body that works alongside the immune system and the nervous system. And we have these receptors all over our body, predominantly from your thighs up. We have CB1 and CB2 receptors. And these receptors in your body react and are working with the CBD to work with your nervous system, to work with your immune system, to work with your digestive system, to bring your body back to that balanced state. And so that is the key to understanding, or in a nutshell, how CBD works and why it works, because of that endocannabinoid system. Mm-hmm.
That is fascinating.
It
And
is.
it's so easy to now see how things that are derived, from the natural things that God gave us,
Right.
that can assist us, because you said it, the body is such an amazing machine that it does have the ability to heal itself, but it cannot heal when it's under distress. And to reduce inflammation and open up the systems so that healing can then come through. I mean, that's what we all want. That is
Absolutely.
what we've been missing in a lot of instances with the medical industry and the pills and things that put us in this cycle of continuing to mask the symptoms versus allowing us to reduce the symptoms so that healing can occur, reduce or eliminate so that healing can occur.
Yeah. And that's it. When you take a tincture, that is a liquid. I'm sure, the viewers here understand, but a tincture is the liquid that you take it, you put it under your tongue and you take it sublingually. Well, when you take a tincture sublingually, and you let it absorb that way, and then you swallow what's left, it gets into your body and it's working systemically, right? And the thing that often people don't understand is they'll take one serving, one dose, right? And they're like, well, it didn't work because I still am in pain. Well, once again, go back, it's not a magic pill. And that inflammation didn't happen overnight. It's the effect of lots of toxins come into our body all day, every day, whether it be through our food or through our environment. The CBD takes time to work. So you need to take it consistently every day to get it into that system, just like you do your other vitamins and minerals, right? Or just like you do your water. You need to drink that water every single day to stay completely hydrated. You can't drink enough one day and none the next and think you're going to be hydrated.
I totally agree. So, Susan, let's talk about disruption. We kind of threw in the health industry there. The hemp plant, its benefits, and the fact that it's a natural resource has really been said to not have the effect that decades of personal impact has shown us that it has.
Yeah.
So even on your website, and I love how you say this, rooted in history, grown for health and experience relief. Why is it that now we're experiencing a new look at hemp and CBD? What's your opinion on that?
Oh, V-Lynn, that is such a deep question. And, I don't want to get political, but I will be a little political, because here in the States, the reason that hemp was not grown for many, many years is political. It's when marijuana got labeled a substance 1 with our government years ago, is when everybody who grew any type of cannabis, whether it was cannabis or hemp, you had to stop. But the interesting thing about it, CBD has been used for over 8,000 years. Queen Victoria used it for her menstrual cramps, right? Crazy. It was grown during when the Pilgrim, when they came over on the Mayflower, right? And they got here, farmers were required to grow hemp. And the reason being, it has so many uses. They could build their homes with it. They could make rope. The rope on the U.S. Constitution, that is from hemp. Our Army soldiers, their boots, shoestrings were made from hemp, right? So it has so many things that can be used for in addition to CBD for the medicinal properties, right? But what happened was marijuana got classified as substance 1. And then that made it illegal to grow it. So everybody had to quit. Another little interesting tidbit is our government has a patent on CBD. From a long time ago, the University of Alabama has been able to grow CBD, grow hemp for studying, and that's the only place it's been grown for all these years.
Wow.
Well, when the 2018 Farm Bill came and got passed, that opened the doors to legalize hemp in all 50 states. Now, not all 50 states will allow it. Some have taken it down to the state property. There's still 3 states that don't allow any growth of hemp at all or cannabis at all. But then you also know there are other states that have overruled what the Fed has said, and they allow cannabis, which is your THC, your marijuana. Let me say one thing. When I refer to cannabis, typically I'm referring to the marijuana, but the truth of that is hemp is cannabis. It's like this. When you go to the grocery store to buy lettuce, you don't write down red lettuce on your grocery list. You just put lettuce and you know in your mind. But you get to the grocery store and you've got iceberg, romaine, red leafy, green leafy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're all lettuce. They're just cousins.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that way. Hemp and marijuana are really cousins. They're both cannabis plants. I just think it's important.
Very
so that's
good
where,
to know. Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's how hemp reemerged, and that's how CBD came back up. And the thing is, many people, I liken it to the modern day gold rush. Many people jumped in and they're like, oh, I want to create CBD because I want to get rich, right? And that was where we took a lot of caution, because we wanted to make sure we were doing things right. And also we wanted to make sure that when we talk with people and people understand that this side of the operation has been farming their whole life. You know, we didn't say, oh, grandma's got a field, I'm going to grow some hemp, right? And I've been in the health and wellness world for 20 years. So we're marrying two beliefs and 2 areas of our life where we've lived forever or for a long period of time. The other thing that is really important to know, because of this, not all CBD products are the same out there. And you know, the ones at the gas stations or some of your ones that you can just get anywhere or online very easily could be a synthetic CBD from out of the country.
Wow. Yeah. So there is an area of wisdom that we need to apply to where it is that we're getting it from and what's in it. And we all know too that there are some people who will place labels on things that say it's one thing when actually it is something else.
Exactly.
So we do want to really understand where we're getting our products from, the reputation, the reputable companies and what have you. And I do know, I mean, that was a great segue to my next question for you, that there are different types of CBD for different types of ailments. And when I was kind of doing that research myself, I was like, okay, easy way to think about it, it's like essential oils. You have essential oils of different flavors and scents, but they do different things as well. Right. Is that the same case for CBD? And what does that look like?
So that is such a great question. So it's not the case for CBD, but it is the case for cannabinoids. Okay. The hemp plant has over 100 different cannabinoids in there. It has CBD, CBG, CBN, CBDA, and the list goes on and on and on and on. CBD is the one that we know the most about. Okay. Now, mind you, there's not the types of studies on CBD that there are on our other vitamins and supplements or our medicines, but there's more coming because the 2018 bill opened up funding to have studies, right?
Right,
However,
right.
CBD has more studies than your other cannabinoids. Okay. But so CBD is really great as the overall cannabinoid to work on that inflammation. Okay. And because it's working on that inflammation, it can help with that plethora of things, that list that goes on and on and on and on, right? Headaches, cramping, arthritis, just the list goes, gut issues, right? Well, CBG and CBN, what we're seeing and learning and studying is they're really great for sleep, right? Well, your CBD will help with sleep as well. And so that's why it's really important to understand what type of product you're getting or purchasing and what it will do in your body. So there are three types of products out there. There's your full spectrum product, okay? And that is oil that is extracted straight from the plant. And it has up to the legal limit of your THC, plus it has all of the cannabinoids in it, okay? So that's one. If you're in a position where you're drug tested, you are not going to want to take that product because you would ping for that THC. The second product is called broad spectrum. It also has all of those cannabinoids in it, but the THC has been removed. Okay. And with those two products, because they come straight from the plant, you get the plant flavor. And every plant might taste a little bit different. And oftentimes that's when you'll find people are blending in your flavoring with it. Some of it being natural flavoring, some of it not. And so you need to know, right? With isolate, which is what we use here at Huntsboro Hemp, we have isolated out the CBD. All the other stuff is in the byproduct, the THC and all the other cannabinoids. So we isolate out the CBD. So I can tell you, we bring it down to a powder, and that is what we start with and blend into the 4 ingredients in each one of our products. So we know you're getting CBD. We blend with terpenes, and the terpenes have scientific proof that they'll do certain things in your body. And there's a bunch of isolate-based products out there. So the two that will not ping on your drug test is a broad spectrum and an isolate-based. The other thing, one of the reasons we chose isolate is when you taste your first dose of relief, which is one of our tinctures, and you have it in your 10th bottle, it's going to all have tasted the same. And we only use natural products. We use 4 ingredients in our products. We have the hemp seed oil, which is the natural carrier, and it comes from the plant. We have our terpene blend, we have our CBD, and then we have just a dash of Granville County honey. I mean, a little bit to help soften and sweeten. And that's it.
Wow, that's amazing. When you were saying that, one of the things that came to mind is, a lot of people talk about, I can't cook this and I can't cook that without using some kind of oil. And is it olive oil or grapeseed oil or whatever? Is hemp oil an oil that can be used with cooking?
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. You can use it with cooking. You can also, it's fabulous in salad dressings. It's ironic. I've used hemp seed oil for years alongside flaxseed oil because it's extremely high in your omega-3, your omega-6s. Yes. And it's a wonderful oil to use. Once again, you just want to make sure that you get a high quality hemp seed oil. I use it in smoothies. I use it, like I said, mostly smoothies, salad dressings, oils, and yeah, and baking.
Wow. Good to know.
Hemp seed oil and hemp hearts are awesome. Hemp hearts are very similar in size to a sesame seed. And so they're really great toasted, or just not even toasted, just sprinkled over your salad. And once again, you're getting high omega-3 and omega-6s and protein.
Yeah. And, one of the big things that people think that meat has for them is protein, without realizing that the meat animals get their protein from plants.
Absolutely.
And so,
Absolutely.
we are learning what
Mhm.
it means and what it looks like to bypass the middleman of
Absolutely.
meat, which is really helping to create a lot of the environmental and ecological issues that our planet is suffering from right now.
Right. I know. I am there with you. I am there with you. And that, as I became more and more of a vegetarian, which I will eat meat, not often, but I do every now and then. But people would say, well, how are you going to get your protein? How are you going to get your protein? And I'm like, oh girl, there are so many ways we can get our protein, and without taking something synthetic, right? Because you're right. The animals get their protein from plants. They and have been forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
there's the lesson in that.
Truly is. And
Mhm.
so let's talk a little bit about the health industry.
Okay.
You mentioned that you've worked with some doctors who
Yeah.
have been prescribing CBD for patients, or just making sure that their
Using.
patient
Yeah.
using.
They
Okay.
don't prescribe. They cannot prescribe at this time. It is considered a suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
But typically, with the doctors who are using it in their practice, when patients or clients come to them, they know what they're going for. They're looking for an alternative.
Yeah.
They um, either you're finding the middle-aged people are looking for something for their parent, so their parent doesn't have to be on some hardcore stuff, or they're looking for something for their child to keep their child off some narcotic and hard stuff, or they're looking for something for themselves, right? So typically, when we find the doctors who have clinics that are using cannabis, whether it's CBD or marijuana, that. Now, for our naturopaths, or for many of our chiropractors, many people in that realm who aren't solely a cannabis clinic, they can suggest. Oftentimes we have people come in to here in our flagship store, our only store, we'll have people come in and say, oh, my doctor suggested I try CBD, and so they'll come in and looking to us for more education about it. It's once again, it's like any of your other supplements. A doctor doesn't really prescribe your vitamin D, where people don't really understand that. Your doctor really doesn't prescribe that. He suggests that you start taking X number of IUs of vitamin D a day, and then you go and you buy it over the counter. And that, I believe, honestly, that is how your CBD is going to stay. I think we'll see it become more mainstream. And I think we'll also see it come more mainstream with our THC or with our marijuana as states, more and more states start allowing it, right? I also believe there needs to be guidelines, there needs to be rules and regulations that companies have to follow to ensure safety for the consumer. You know, I'm really, really, really big on that. As a matter of fact, in North Carolina, we just had a big push for medicinal marijuana legalization. But the way that the bill was written, there were going to be 4 companies allowed to sell cannabis in 10 stores throughout the state. And each company could have 10 stores. Now we have 100 counties, so that would only be 40 stores. That didn't make sense. And out of the companies, only one of them was a North Carolina company. 2 of them happened to be from Canada. And actually it got defeated. And as a small business owner, the middleman, as the small business owner, not the middleman, you know, I'm like, wait a minute, you're not even giving me a fair chance to play in this game. And, you know, I'm healer certified, and, you know, I've got farmers who farmed their whole life here in this state. And, you know, so I was pleased that this one was defeated. But I think there's the right time for it. And I think there's the right use for CBD, and maybe even the CBD with THC. We'll see.
I agree. You know, there's, from my perspective, having been an athlete and having, you know, recovered from injuries and recovered in a more holistic manner versus the medication route, I still see that even, you know, the vitamins and supplements that so many of us rely on are really like placebo when it comes to what's really working for us. And with over half the population of our country being obese and, you know, ill in some form out of stasis, you know, there's got to be a way to help people to come to the understanding that not only is there an alternative, but there are people out here who are educating and providing the information so that we can make more informed choices, more informed decisions. Exactly. And I thank you for playing your part in all of this, because, you know, that's one of the reasons that this show has come about. We really dive into what does it take to use lifestyle and food as medicine, and what does it mean to live a whole foods, plant-based lifestyle? Does that mean that I have to live within this box? And then when you're able to say, no, look outside, look, I read an article one time, totally blew my mind. It was like, look at all of the medicine that's right in your backyard. And I thought, you know, if this had been just two generations ago, that would not have been something that was so over the top.
Exactly. So very interesting thing. I've almost completed my holistic herbalism certification. Just another interesting thing that I wanted to study. And, you know, being that I live on 110 acres in central North Carolina, you know, one of my tasks was to go out and go walking and like find herbs and plants that had medicinal values, right? So I found plantain, which it said exactly like the small banana, plantain, but it's not. It's a big, beautiful green weed looking thing that grows abundantly on my farm. And so I was learning the properties about it, right? And it's really good if you get burned. So I actually, or burns and stings, things like that. Well, I got stung by a hornet. And those things hurt. And I was like, Jimmy, go get me some of that weed over there. And so he did. And I rinsed it off and I chewed it up and I put it on there. And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm using this weed. It's called plantain, and it'll help take the sting out and keep the swelling down. And sure enough, it worked. And I was talking with Jimmy about it. And he said, you know, that's what the old people around here would tell you to do. He said, grandmother always would tell us, go get something, you know, she would describe it and she's like, go get that. And that's what they would use. And how fascinating that you just said that, 2 generations ago, yes, they were working with the body, with the plants growing all around you, right? And where you live, the plants were very different than maybe where I live, but we had mostly what we need to heal our bodies. And so, yeah.
I remember I grew up in Maryland, in Baltimore, but we had family in Virginia.
Yeah.
And I remember us going to spend a couple of weeks during the summer with family in Virginia. And I remember not only did they have like the chickens on the farm and they would go fish and bring home dinner, but they grew all of their vegetables. They had an abundance of fruit, vines, and trees.
Right.
And one of the things that fascinated me was the greens that they grew. And I remember my great aunt talking about the greens and how she would go out and pick them, but they had to soak because, just to get them nice and tender. Yeah. But, and I'm thinking today, we don't hardly know anything about that. And teaching our kids, it's like, and they're not learning it in school.
No, I mean, think about it. When we buy kale in the grocery store, right? We have to come home, we have to massage it if we want it to be tender, especially if you're going to eat it raw. And, that's to help it break down to make it where the body can use it better. But V-Lynn, it's interesting because 90% of our food comes from within 30 miles of our house. Yeah, which is really cool. And there's times we freeze lots of berries and things, and the kids will go, buy those berries at the store. I'm like, no, we eat frozen berries in the winter. During the summer you eat fresh berries.
Oh my goodness.
Very fascinating.
It really is. It really is. And there is a great deal of wealth and healing and success with this type of sustainable lifestyle. And, one of the things that I think is a deterrent for a lot of people is we're talking about, we used to be able to grow stuff in the backyard. Do you kind of suggest ways that people can make their own mini farm in the backyard, even if they don't have to dig up the ground? They can build something.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. I even have one. Now people can buy boxes. I actually have a garden box, which is up on legs. It's in between my house and my garage. And I grow a few things in there every year. Mostly lettuces and herbs. And then I always grow 1 or 2 flowers in there. I tried dahlias in there this year, but that didn't work. They need to be outside. They need to be in the ground because they get so big. But you can buy garden boxes, and truthfully, you don't even have to buy one. You can make it. Go get you some 2x4s, nail them together, get you some premium soil, and then play.
I love it. And those are great family projects too. Get
Absolutely.
The kids involved. What kid doesn't like to play in the dirt?
Absolutely. That's exactly right.
So let's talk for a minute and pretty quickly about advocating for our own personal health and well-being. How would you suggest somebody who especially has been in this world of prescribed medications and, doing these things, it's like there's a certain fear even sometimes in saying, well, I'm going to try something else. And they've put so much trust in the medical field.
Right.
That, and yet they're years into something and they're still sick. How do you how do you help somebody to understand how to advocate for themselves?
So first off, I think they have to have the right mindset. they've got to be ready to make this change. And then they have to learn to live by mindfulness. And they need to talk with their doctors and with their pharmacists to understand if they are trying to come off of a medication, how do I come off of that medication to start adding in alternative products? Because you don't ever want to take a medication with an alternative product that could cause some type of side effect, right? So I think that those are the really important things to know. And then once they've made that decision and they know that they can safely make some changes, their doctors might be objecting a little bit, right, in the beginning, but they might say, hey, it's worth a try because I'm not feeling any better. Or this medicine has gone from maybe helping with this pain, but giving me gut issues, right? And that's not good either. So they have to be very mindful of what they're trying to achieve. And then I think mindfulness, and sometimes that word is so overused, but yet it's so important. You have to pay attention to how you feel, because Velan, in the holistic world, a lot of the times what you need and what I need for what we perceive as the same problem is two very different things, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And you may have a very low level tolerance of pain, and I might have a very high level tolerance of pain. So there's so many things, but then I think you just need to find the educated people that can help you make the transition. And one thing I want to be very clear, and I know you feel the same way, Western medicine is very, very important, and it is necessary many times. However, there are many other times that alternatives are as good, if not better, and don't do long-term harm to our bodies.
You're absolutely right. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. I think I'm the black sheep in my family. My mom is always like, why are you questioning the doctor? Why are you asking that? I'm like, because this is how we, take care of ourselves and be responsible for my body, my vessel for while I'm here.
And we have a responsibility to do just that, and to not put that important thing in any one person's hands that doesn't know you outside of a visit that you have with them on occasion.
Right.
And I think too that part of it, you talked about mindset, and bioindividuality comes in. If we have different fingerprint, our systems are so different.
Right.
And we have to understand that in order to even know what to say. But doc, I did this, like you said, but I'm not feeling right. This isn't working, versus I'm doing it and I'll make it through. And there's got to be another way. And it's up to us to take responsibility for ourselves.
I agree.
Ask those questions. And if your doctor doesn't know, it's up to you to take that next step. Absolutely. And find out where those answers are.
I agree with you 100%. I just think, you have to be responsible for your own self, and you have to ask yourself the tough questions. Is this the route that I want to take for me?
Well, Susan, this has been amazing. And as we wrap up today, I just want to ask you if there is one other piece of wisdom and advice that you would like to leave with our audience that you believe is important for us to know and to take with us as we go on this journey of improved health.
Yeah. I would just say, when it comes to CBD specifically, which, is one of my niche areas, you really need to know where your hemp is coming from. You need to know, is the product third-party tested? And if you wanted, could you see those results? And oftentimes that's a good enough answer. that yes, you can see the results from the third party test. Because if you know those two things, then you know you're getting a quality product to help you. So that would be my tidbit of information for someone who's looking to add CBD into their daily regimen.
Well, thank you. That was a great piece of advice. And I so appreciate all that you've brought to the show today. Because again, I think that, one of the reasons that I started the show and I talked about a lot in the early shows was the fact that some of the conversations, in order to be powerful, have to also be disruptive.
Yes.
And we want to disrupt the old thinking. We want to disrupt the old paradigms and the limiting beliefs about what nature can provide for us.
Right.
And it is not what we have grown accustomed to in this fast-paced living environment.
Yeah, right. I often say I was planted in this small town America to keep me grounded and living a much slower life.
And I'm telling you what, when it comes to the pace at which many of us are going, just the thought of it alone is like, well, when can I slow down? Right. Or you get so used to it because the adrenaline flows. But you have to understand too that when the adrenaline flows at such a high level for such a consistent period of time, it's going to get to a point where it's going to say, stop.
Yeah,
I need to refresh and regenerate so that I can, if you're going to keep me up here, do this even more. But, by the same token, there's medicine in creating the garden in the backyard and
digging in the
dirt. And just, even bringing in from the farmer's market on a weekly basis, those things that that you're preparing for yourself, whether it's the green smoothie or carrot or celery or berries. Those are the things that when you spend your time on them, there's something about working with those types of things, those natural things that do something in the body as well. And so, again, thank you for bringing this conversation about CBD to us, educating us in such a great way.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting me today. I appreciate it.
You are so welcome. And we'll have to do it again because I think we were talking a little earlier, and I'm going to end on this, but we have moved into an era that is very digitally grounded and heavily moving forward in. Right. So it's high level, the high intensity on one end, yet it's very grounded because it's moving at a pace that while many of us can see it, many of us can't see it. And what we will see is like, wow, how did that happen?
Right.
Well, the same thing applies to how we treat our health and how we take back our health. Absolutely. If you ever thought one day you woke up and looked in the mirror and what happened? Where did that 10 or 20 or 50 pounds come from? It's going to have the same effect on the other side. When you're in this space of doing all of these natural good things for your body temple, your mind, and everything that's within and without. I mean, the mobility that we have is all comes from what we have inside of us. And so in this digital environment, we're going to also find out what foods and what lifestyle will help us to maintain this pace of growth into technology that we're starting to experience now. And I really believe that plant food is medicine, and plants are food. I mean, if you can take a hemp plant and you can chew it, or the plantain and chew it and put it on. I mean, we have got to know that food and lifestyle are our medicine. So again, thank you so much. And as we're wrapping up, everyone, put your comments below. Let Susan know how much you appreciated her coming in and having this conversation with me today. I know I appreciate it.
Thanks.
And if you are a health wisdom or wealth practitioner and you'd like to share your knowledge and expertise with our audience and be in the conversation, reach out to me, PM me, find me on Facebook, message me, find me on LinkedIn. I am here and would love to connect. So, all right, everyone, we're going to call that a wrap for the day. We've got some exciting things coming up, but share this information out. Do us the favor of letting your loved ones, friends, associates know that you've gotten this information. Remember, as you go on throughout the day, and until we see you next time, be well, live, love, and be a bigger positive impact maker in your world. And on that, we're going to say bye for now. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.